Hey guys, my name is Alicia and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my January TBR. So these are all the books that I want to read in January, and honestly I can't believe it is 2022. We are in the midst of a new year and I have so many books that I'm really excited to get to. And honestly it's kind of hard to make this TBR because there were so many books that I wanted to get to that I had to tell myself that there are still 11 more months in the year and I have a lot of opportunities to read all the books that I want to read. But these are the books that I'm hoping to read this month. So first up is a book that I actually started in December, so I am almost done this book, but that is Girls of Fate and Fury by Natasha Nian. So this is a series, it's the end of a series. This is the third book in the Girls of Paper and Fire series. And I adore that first book. It was actually one of the first books that kind of brought me back into reading, so I read it a couple years ago. But this is the end of that series, and it's always bittersweet to finish a series, but yeah, this one is just a really great book, and the series as a whole. I do think, like, people who have read this book, a lot of people say the second book wasn't as good as the first book, and I do agree. I think the first book was just such an atmospheric and cool fantasy world, with like a really cool concept as well, with really great characters and all of that stuff. But this book I am liking so far. I'm actually like almost done it. I have very little to go, but yeah, I'm really excited to see how this all comes to an end and what happens to our characters. Then next up I have a really popular book, and that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So this, yeah, like I said, really popular book, and I have heard a lot of great things about it. Some people do say that it's because it's such a like mystical, whimsical like writing style. I feel like some people say that the book itself isn't that great unless you like that writing style, but thankfully for me, I do love that kind of writing. And always, like, when I think of whimsical writing and things like that, I think of Strange the Dreamer, which is one of my favorite books. So if this book is anything like that, I am going to adore it. But yeah, I don't really know much about this book. All I know is that there is this circus that is kind of like a traveling circus, or like pops up every now and then. So it pops up and our main characters, I think there's two of them, and they're like competing each other in this circus, but there's a bit of a love story that happens. So yeah, really looking forward to this one, and I feel like this is going to be a good kind of winter read. Then next up, I have a book that I specifically chose to read this month, again because of like the winter atmosphere, and that is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. So I read Anxious People last year and I absolutely loved it. I love his writing style. I love how, you know, he has such important and poignant topics, but he writes it in such a kind of charming and funny way. So yeah, I loved Anxious People, and I really think I'm gonna like this one. This is another book that all I really know is that it has to do with a hockey team in a small town in Sweden. I think either this hockey team is, you know, not too great, and so it's about you know, the community coming together and cheering on this team, and yeah, kind of like revitalizing not only hockey, but I guess like the community itself. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really great read, and I adore Frederick Bachman's books. Then next, I really want to read Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is the first book in a kind of epic fantasy. It might be more of an urban fantasy, but this is a book that I have heard so many great things about. I feel like it's getting really hyped right now, so I kind of want to jump on that hype train and see if it's actually worth it. So basically, this book follows, I believe, one, maybe two families in this world who have the jade magic. So this is the magic in the system where if you have it, you basically gain these superhuman abilities. And all I really know is that, you know, with many of these epic fantasies, it has a lot of kind of political intrigue, a lot of kind of battles and warring families, gangs, people, all of that. And yeah, I'm just really excited to read this book. I've heard nothing but great things, and it is such a popular book, so I'm really hoping I love it. So next I have a thriller, and that is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. I'm not sure if this is like really popular or not, but I have heard a few good things about it. And basically what it's about is a young girl named Jane who is, I think, a dog walker in this very upper class neighborhood. And one day she meets this guy named Eddie, and they kind of have this like flirting thing going on, and they basically start dating. So once she starts dating Eddie, and Eddie is like this really upper class affluent guy, but she finds out that actually his wife went missing or is presumed dead, and there's a bit of like this mystery behind what happened and if he's actually over her. But either way, they start dating, and she moves into this house, and kind of it's about their relationship and what's actually going on, because the whole time that Jane is now with Eddie, she is constantly thinking about what happened to his ex-wife, not ex but like his dead wife. So yeah, that sounds really interesting, and it is I feel like a basic domestic thriller, but if done well, they can be really good. And next I have No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is another book that I thought was just really good for this month, winter vibes and all of that. And all I really know about it is it's a girl who is going on a road trip, I think going back home to see her mother, when something goes wrong, like either with her car or something. So she ends up having to stop at like a rest stop, and things go downhill from there. I've heard that this is like such a gripping, interesting, twisty kind of story, so I'm really excited to read this, and this might be one of my most anticipated just thrillers that I want to read this year, because I've heard so many great things, and like so many people hyping this book up, and it being some people's like favorite thrillers ever, so I'm hoping for the same. So next I have Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi. So this is a kind of contemporary YA book, and all I know is that it's about these two sisters, and I think they haven't ever met each other, or they're estranged, or something is wrong in their relationship, but they end up coming together and I think faking their identities, or I don't know if they're twins or what it is, but yeah, they basically have to fake identities and help one of them from a really bad situation. So yeah, I know that this is a great story about relationships and sisterhood and coming together and all of those things. And I actually haven't read any Mary H.K. Choi before, but I've heard that she's a really great author, so I am really excited to read this book. And I've actually heard this is a really emotional book, so if I shed a tear or two, great. And then lastly, I have The Royals Next Door by Karina Hale. And this is an adult romance that actually is influenced by when the royals, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, came to live in Canada. And I am just so excited by that premise, because I remember, like as a Canadian myself, I remember when they were, planning to come to Canada, and it was like all the craze. So yeah, I'm really excited about that aspect, but it's basically about this woman who lives next door to these royals, and she ends up having a romance with the royal's bodyguard. So yeah, this just sounds super fun and just a great time. So yeah, I wanted to add some romance into this TBR, and that's what we're going with. So those are all the books that I'm hoping to read in January. I think those are about 9 or 10 books, and I am not sure if I'll get to all of those, because last year I was reading around 10 books a month, but yeah, this feels like a bit of a slower reading year. And as a side note, I read like 130 books last year, which is a crazy amount. I did not expect I would read that much, so I'm really trying to not push myself to read a lot. I really want to like read good books and engage with those books, and not just read for the sake of reading, but actually read and like get something out of it. So yeah, basically, if I don't get to all of these books, it's all good. But thanks guys for watching, and I will see you in another video.